I'm Chris, and
I'm Liam.
There we are.
Did we get that right?
That's awesome. Can you just start by talking a little bit about how long have you two been making music together?
A very long time. We actually went to school together, grew up in the same village, and we were playing in different bands at school, and there wasn't a lot of people that were playing music at the time. We would have been about 15, 16 at this time. Me and Chris were in two rival bands, but they individually fell apart, so we joined forces, and that was 20 years ago?
yeah. Well, I think about 20 years ago that we first started playing music, and then we formed Maribou State about 16 years ago.
Nice. And so this new record, which congratulations, by the way,
Thank
it's
you.
titled Hallucinating Love. Where does that fit in the evolution of your sound as a band?
I think for us, it's been the record that we're happiest with. You know, it feels like the apex of what we've been trying to get to for a long time, both like sonically and how personal it is to both of us.
Yeah, I think the records prior to this, they were approached in a different way, and this was the first time that really all the anguish and struggle that me and Chris were going through over the last few years ended up on the record, and it just became this thing that was an extension of us, which we'd never had previously with other albums.
Right. And speaking of that anguish, this record was released 6 years after your last release. And in the 6 years, a lot happened in the world. A lot happened in both of your worlds. Can you talk about some of the experiences that shaped the concept of this record?
Yeah, sure. So during that time, obviously, COVID happened. But personally, I got diagnosed with a condition called Chiari malformation, which was a rare brain condition. And I was having a lot of really debilitating headaches and going through a lot of pain at the time. And both of us were struggling with various mental health issues at the time. So we started writing the album in like 2021, I think it was. And during that period, we were both struggling a lot. But the record became a massive antidote for both of us. And we channeled a lot of that suffering at the time into making music.
I love that you kind of, poured your pain into purpose and, were able to provide some healing through music. Especially listening to it, you can hear a lot of that healing. And the title itself, Hallucinating Love, is such an expression. Can you talk a little bit about how you landed on that title?
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a crazy story, because originally the words Hallucinating Love were some lyrics that Chris penned down on an old demo. And we were flying over to New York for a writing session, and somehow both of us had been sat in separate seats with this idea that those words could be the album title, and we were both basically drawing up all these different reasons as to why that title fit, why it fit the music, why it fit what we were going through, and eventually we kind of came to each other to say, like, I think I've got the album title. And I was like, I think I've got it too. And then we realised we'd both been building up to this moment, and we were like, hit the call button, got a whiskey, and we just... pure celebration.
It's worth pointing out that me and Liam always struggle with song titles and album titles. And like the previous record, we just had loads of different names and we whittled it down over time. But this one just instantly felt like the right title.
It helped us finish the album, because actually that was quite early on in the process. And once we had this banner, and then all these ideas we had and all these lyrical ideas, everything just started making sense. Or at least it'd be the roadmap to, like, does it fit this world? Does it fit what we're trying to achieve? So it was really lucky that it came to us at that point.
That was going to be my next question. Where in the process did you come up with that? Because, listening to the album in order and the track listing felt so intentional, as far as, the peak is, Dance on the World, and then you end with Black Oak, and it's just this really, or you end with Rolling Stone, and it's this beautiful, beautiful, kind of homecoming almost. And so were most of the songs written at that time that you were kind of coming up with the track order, or was this kind of as you kind of pinned them or recorded them together, you found the order?
The ordering came together in quite a haphazard way, because we wrote pretty much a whole album before we wrote this and scrapped it. And then had half the song.
We've done that 3 times before,
Yeah,
by the way.
that's
That's nothing new, sadly.
It's sort of like purging out all of the stuff that we don't really, we're not passionate about. But we had the whole record done, and right at the end, we ended up changing probably about 4 of the songs within the last couple of weeks before we handed it in. But things like Rolling Stone and Black Oak, they were done kind of near the beginning, and we knew that they were going to be the start and the end. Okay. But yeah, and everything else just got slotted in around it.
That's amazing. And, you know, a signature element of your sound are the soulful vocal collaborations that you often do with a range of other artists, including Holly Walker. Can you talk about the many collaborations on this record and how they came to be?
Yeah, certainly. We, on this record, had realised previously that we were quite insular with the way that we worked. And it was often with Holly or with a friend of ours, Jack Sibley, who we collaborate with a lot on vocals and production. And with this record, when we first started out, we kind of set ourselves the task of collaborating a lot more. And we just wanted to meet different people and put ourselves out there. Most of the sessions that we did actually didn't end up going that well, and we realised actually we just need to have connection with people. Like, it's really important for us to really vibe with someone and be able to spend a lot of time in the room together. And from that comes our collaborations. But yeah, the ones that really stuck with this was Andrea, who features on All I Need, and that's someone me and Chris have been a big fan of for a long time. That was one of the sessions that really came together really well. And also Guider as well, who's a singer from Holland, who, yeah, we had a great time with her and we really clicked. And sadly, she was supposed to be supporting us on this tour, but had to pull out, so, but yeah.
Also, for anyone that's a fan of Lady Ray,
Yes,
we did, that was the session we flew out to in New York, actually, and she features a very small amount in the record. And sadly, there was like 2 or 3 songs we had and they just didn't make it in the end, but she does make an appearance and she's a favourite artist of ours.
Oh, wow. She's amazing. We are definitely fans of hers. And you two are also known for, you know, layering samples and using field recordings in your records. Can you talk a little bit about sourcing some field recordings and samples for this record?
Yeah, we actually did a lot less of that on this album. We bought an old cassette field recorder and we took that out for a day where we both live in North London, and got sort of about 3 hours worth of recordings that we ended up putting across the record. But that was pretty much it on this album. But in the past, it's definitely been a big part of the sound because it gives everything just like a lot more, it makes everything feel more personal and a bit more 3D and...
Yeah, a bit more tangible. And like the interesting thing about that recording session is previously we've been quite like excited by collecting field recordings from all over the world or just from as rare a place as possible, but with everything happening in the world and being restricted to being in London, we couldn't really go anywhere and travel. So that was the first session we booked in. And I guess in our minds we thought we'd be travelling again soon and we'd be capturing more. But the album itself became quite British to us in terms of its sound, and it was amazing that one field recording we got ended up being used across the whole album. So it was very serendipitous for that.
That is serendipity. And it's so nice to be here with you in between Coachella weekends. And I know you also just started the Spring North American Tour in early April, and you're going to be at the Roxy here in Los Angeles this week. What are some different approaches you take when performing at a large outdoor festival like Coachella versus performing in a club venue like the Roxy?
Good question.
I think a lot of it's dictated by the set list, like the time we get to play. When we're doing a headline show, it's 90 minutes of music. Coachella give you 40, 50 minutes. So we have to really think about what's going to resonate to the crowd in that time. And like, the other thing is, we didn't expect anybody to actually be at our Coachella show. Genuinely, before I was saying, I don't think anyone's going to turn up. And then we walked out and we're like, holy fuck, look how many people are here. But you do have to really think about what time of day, are you in a tent, are you outside, and like, what do they want to hear? So we tried to play more of the kind of poppier songs and like the more upbeat stuff and cut out some more of the down-tempo stuff.
Okay, well, it's Morning Becomes Eclectic. My name is Tyler Biggie Boudreaux, and I'm here with Chris and Liam of Maribou State. Let's get ready for some music. Thank you
very much.
Thank you.